Now, we know plastic surgery is so popular and people are doing it for all sorts of reasons, cosmetic work, but this might be the most extreme version of it that we've ever come across. How is this for a man's journey with plastic surgery? He started off wanting to be transracial, so having plastic surgery to look like a South Korean pop star. Then a few years later, realising he wanted to be a gender fluid trans woman, so having plastic surgery to appear as a female. A few years after that, detransitioning and wanting to go back to his original self as a biological man. This is an incredible story, and joining us from London is Oli London. Welcome to the show, Oli.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, guys.
Now, Oli, it's an incredible journey you've been on with your identity and obviously with your multiple plastic surgery procedures. So I want to go back to the start. Your plastic surgery started when you wanted to look like Jimin. Is it Jimin from BTS, the South Korean boy band?
It is Jimin from BTS. Yes, it is, yeah.
And like, you know how a lot of people can aspire to be or look like somebody, but to go to the lengths of plastic surgery, can you talk us through that? Were there friends, family members around you saying, are you sure? Because to have transracial plastic surgery, that can't be very common.
It's not very common. I think I was the first to actually do that publicly. But I mean, there's a lot of people that actually go to Asia to undergo these procedures. A lot of Europeans, Westerners go and they might do an eye surgery or a nose surgery. So I was living in Korea about 12 years ago, and I really fell in love with the culture, the K-pop scene, and I just liked the look of idols. And like so many people, they want to look like a Kardashian or somebody else famous. At the time, I was like, okay, let me base my looks on someone. And, I happened to choose Jimin at the time. And, I did go for a lot of surgeries at the time. And there was also a lot of surgeries that I regretted. I pretty much did, I think, about 32 procedures over a decade. And I was left with a lot of scarring. So I've, recently been kind of trying to undo that scarring and been going through some kind of reverse procedures.
When you think about what you've gone through, and now you are, as you said, you found your faith in Christianity, you're identifying as a biological man as you were at birth. But after the transracial plastic surgery to look Korean, you then were a gender fluid trans woman. So then you're identifying as a woman. At that stage, was it that you weren't happy or the surgery wasn't giving you what you were searching for? Like, I guess it's a really important message that you can give everybody, 100%. Oli, because you were taking it to extremes and now you seem to have found the real you.
Yeah, I mean, I really did take it to an extreme. And, I think I was really going through an identity crisis and I was lacking that self-confidence. And most of us, we spend a lot of time on social media, Instagram, TikTok. And when you're seeing, people looking perfect, and in my case, it was K-pop stars and, wanting to emulate somebody else. But, I've come to realize that actually that's unhealthy to try and look like someone else. You have to kind of embrace who you are. And, a lot of us want to do tweaks, maybe somebody wants to do a nose surgery or another kind of surgery, and we should be doing that kind of and we can also do non-surgical procedures like I've been doing in Thailand. I just did about 9 days ago an endo lift, which is like a non-surgical facelift. So I think now these days, people don't need to be doing as much surgery. There are great, more natural looking things that we can be doing. But I think it's just the message is, if you feel happy in your own body, you don't need to change. But there's something that, maybe you do want to change, go for it, but just don't go to the extreme.
I'm looking at some pictures here and there's 4 of them and they could be 4 different people, literally 4 different people. When did you think, oh, geez, I might have a problem here?
Well, I got to a point about 3 years ago when I'd gone through all these procedures. I'd undergone a lot of botched procedures. So my nose was left with very, very bad scarring. Even my body was left with severe scarring. And, I got to a point where I was like, you know what, when do I stop? This is unhealthy. This is not good. So I'm kind of trying to have more of a natural look.
Did Jimin from BTS ever see your transformation or comment on it?
I mean, for sure, he definitely saw it. When I appeared on Dr. Phil in America about 5 years ago, Dr. Phil's team actually reached out to BTS and they did decline to have Jimin on the show, because I wanted to confess my love to Jimin in person, and they said they had a busy schedule. So, so I know for sure Jimin would have seen it. When you Google Jimin, you often see pictures of me coming up. So I think, I'm sure he was flattered, but, maybe he thought I was a little crazy, but I'm sure he was flattered with that.
How much cash have you spent?
It's a lot, hundreds of thousands of dollars over the years, over about 3 dozen procedures.
Wow.
So, yes, done like 6 nose surgeries, jaw surgery, cheek surgery, hair transplant. It's such a long list, like I can't even remember. But, I do regret going through a lot of the botched surgeries. And I think the reason I had so much surgery was because I had gone to some doctors at the start that kind of messed up my face. So I was going for correctional surgeries and revisions. And, that gets more complicated the more surgeries you do. But managed to fix all that in Thailand. I'm feeling much happier now. And yeah, I'm definitely kind of finished with all that.
Ollie, how were your family and friends over this period to have such extreme plastic surgery? I always wonder, is there not somebody saying, Ollie, you're perfect the way you are, like stay who you are?
Yeah, they were very, very upset. I mean, the more surgery I was doing, the more extreme was getting. And, clearly I was having an identity crisis and they wanted to help. They cared about me, but, I just wasn't listening to people, telling me to stop. And I thought, okay, if somebody says stop, I'm just going to fly to a different country and find a doctor that will say yes. And, so it was very, very unhealthy at that point. And it was, of course, very upsetting for people in my life. And, they were trying to stop me. And, I'm a kind of very headstrong, stubborn person. If I've got something in my mind, I'm just going to do it. But, I have realized that was harmful. And for any family member or friend to see somebody go through that is not nice. So, now is okay. I've gone through that phase. I still do love K-pop, but I'm not in kind of that crazy kind of plastic surgery addiction era.
It is an incredible tale. I don't think we've ever spoken to anyone who has had plastic surgery for transracial, then trans woman, then back to being a biological man. And I think there's just so much to learn from this. And I think something you've pointed out that is a real concern is that there will always be a plastic surgeon that will say yes. And that is a problem. But thank you so much for sharing your story. If anyone wants to check out Oli, his social media handle at London Oli, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
It was a
bro.
pleasure to you all. And thank you to your listeners as well.